Number 5.
Aaron Rodgers is right. He does own the Bears. Boy, are the Packers going to miss him. The takeaway, look, the obvious storyline coming out of Packers-Bears yesterday is Rodgers yelling, "I own you" at the fans and all that kind of stuff and doing the discount double check and all of that stuff. Terrific. But the actual thought I have watching that game yesterday is, well, the Packers are a very average football team with two exceptional players. And the guys who put that team together, who think they are geniuses, are in for a rude awakening. Rex said it on TV today. When Aaron Rodgers leaves this coming season and takes Davante Adams with him wherever he goes, they will be a package deal. They will make someone an instant Super Bowl contender. Almost doesn't matter. You put Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams on practically any roster in the NFL, they're an instant playoff team and maybe a Super Bowl team. And what they leave behind is the Lions. I think they're that average. That defense is not good at all. The Bears didn't even try to score. The Bears are playing like they're scared to death of their own quarterback. I don't know what is going on there, but Matt Nagy coaches games like he is scared to death of his own quarterback. And it was one thing when you didn't want to play him and all that, but he's playing. So I don't understand what they're doing exactly. They are being so overprotective. They're like, I don't know, like the overprotective dad, you know, like when the kid is, like I remember going, I'll tell you a true story. I asked a girl to go to the prom with me, and I went to her house to ask permission from her father because we were going to stay out all night. And I wanted to ask, she said, "My dad needs to talk to you before we do this." So I'm 17 years old. I'm show up at this woman's house. And the father says, and he says to me, "So how are you going to be getting around?" And I said, "We've got a limousine. My best friend and I have reserved a limousine for us and our dates." And he says to me, "And this limousine driver is going to be responsible and not going to wrap my daughter around a telephone pole somewhere." And I said, "Well, if he does, he definitely won't be getting the mandatory 15% gratuity," which I consider to be the first great ad-lib of my life. It was in that moment, as he was ushering me from his apartment, that I thought, I'm going to be a broadcaster someday. Now, I forget why I got into this. Oh, because the Bears are acting like that dad. They're afraid to let Justin Fields do anything. Justin Fields is my prom date, Emily. And they're afraid. Listen, you can't keep her out all night. Like, you can take her to the prom if you want, but she's not staying out all night. I don't care if there's a limo driver. I don't trust the limo driver. That's what the Bears are with Justin Fields. And at some point, it's going to get old. But Rodgers was very good yesterday. These are my takes. That one was a little bit all over the place.
Number 4.
This one's a little more direct. John Harbaugh is the coach of the year. John Harbaugh is the coach of the year, and to me, it's not even close. The Ravens have more players on injured reserve than any other team, and it's like all their good ones except Lamar. Like, they lost everybody. They had the worst August. I remember saying the words on this show. Every year, one team in the NFL has their season ruined by injury. You just never know who it's going to be, and this year it's the Ravens. And they're 5-1. And they look right now, candidly, as good as anybody in the AFC, maybe with the exception of Buffalo. And that is just a remarkable testament to their coaching. Lamar might be the MVP. Last week was about Lamar being the MVP. To me, this week is about John Harbaugh being the coach of the year. The two teams that have the most players on injured reserve are the Ravens and the Lions. The Ravens have 16 players on injured reserve. They're 5-1. The Lions have 14 players on injured reserve. They're 0-6. You're not supposed to be able to win through that kind of adversity. Those aren't excuses. They're reasons. And they're winning. And mostly it's because their coach is elite. You agree with that? John Harbaugh is a legitimately elite NFL coach.
You give any team John Harbaugh, Lamar Jackson, they're going to win at least half of their games. The injuries that happened in August to them just weren't to Lamar Jackson, like you said. So they have the infrastructure. They have the foundation. And so I guess we shouldn't be that surprised that they've won more games than they've lost.
I mean, surprised is a relative term. They've not won more games than they've lost. They're 5-1. And they're beating good teams.
Yeah. That was a blowout yesterday.
They beat down the Chargers yesterday, who I, like the genius that I am, thought were the best team in the AFC.
It was a non-competitive game.
Non-competitive. It wasn't as close as the final score would seem. He's done an unbelievable coaching job.
Number 3.
The Browns have me very concerned. They are banged up beyond belief. The quarterback is tough as hell, but let's just be honest. Baker Mayfield is an average to above average player. And maybe that's all he's going to be. And that's fine. That roster should be good enough for them to still win. The problem is they have to decide whether or not to give him $150 million. But let's not even worry about that yet, because the problem is this is a Super Bowl roster. Dan said it on TV this morning really well. This is a 6-0 roster that's 3-3. Their defense has allowed 117 points in 3 losses to the 3 good teams they've played, Chiefs, Chargers, Cardinals. Their defensive numbers are going to be skewed by the fact that they had the Justin Fields game, the game where the Bears didn't they didn't even run an offense. they had 1 net yard passing. So all of the season statistics for that Browns defense are going to be skewed by that game in the favorable side. Their defense has underachieved terribly. They played without Nick Chubb yesterday. Kareem Hunt had what looked like a terrible injury. I find it impossible to believe he's going to play Thursday. Baker Mayfield suffered the kind of injury that I would have announced my retirement lying there on the ground with his shoulder. Is he going to play Thursday? Or did I mention they're playing Thursday? They turn around and play a Denver team that isn't very good, but they can play defense. So the Browns will play a game they absolutely have to win on Thursday night. So the Browns have me very, very concerned as the guy who picked them this year to go to the Super Bowl.
Number 2.
All right, this is the one that I teased. Daniel Jones being in the game down 38-3 in the fourth quarter, I believe is genuinely a fireable offense. I don't say that loosely or lightly. I don't fire coaches. If you've listened to me on the radio for 25 years, it's not what I do. I don't sit here and demand people's jobs. But I will tell you right now, if I'm John Mara yesterday, I walk into that locker room after the game and I ask the coach, I need to talk to you for a minute, or at least I bring him in today. And I say, I need to talk to you for a minute. What point were you trying to make by having Daniel Jones in that game at the end? We all saw Daniel Jones not know where he was on the field a week before. This is not even your typical football stuff. Like, this is, you're playing with people's lives here.
Number 1.
Finally, number 1, for the last 20 years, the game between the Cowboys and Patriots yesterday, take the opponents out of it. For the last 20 years, the Patriots win that game every time. Every time. They don't have Tom Brady anymore. For the last 20 years, the Cowboys lose that game every time. And they find the way to win. This is a different Cowboys team. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.